Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions presents Atlantic Coast Conference Football, the pregame show with Gary Sparber and Roman Gabriel.
We're live at Death Valley in Clemson, South Carolina, where this afternoon Clemson begins defense of its ACC championship against a Georgia Tech team hoping to spring a big upset for new coach Bobby Ross. Interstate's ACC Today, brought to you by Interstate Securities, with over 60 offices to serve you throughout the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. Hi again, everybody. Gary Sparber along with Roman Gabriel. A major test today for Georgia Tech. They had a very tough loss last week, blew a big lead against North Carolina, and today they take on a Clemson team that sports the #1 defense in terms of total defense in America right now.
Clemson's only given up 145.7 yards a game. They're big up front. They've got tremendous, talented athletes, Gary, and they've got 100 guys they dressed today.
Now, if you're on the other side of the ball playing for Georgia Tech, how do you move it against that defense?
You have a coach like Bobby Ross who brings experience from Maryland, also the NFL. They like to put the ball in the air. So what they'll do is to slow down that big defensive rush by Clemson so they can throw. They'll run traps, draws, screens, play action, anything they can to try to put points on the board.
Of course, if they don't have the ball, that's no problem. And last year against Clemson, Georgia Tech did not have the ball very much. Clemson controlled it for better than 40 minutes.
When you have a passing game, probably the greatest thing to do is to keep the ball out of their hands, and unless Georgia Tech can get the ball, they're not able to score.
Contrast in quarterbacks today. Rodney Williams for Clemson, Rick Strom for Georgia Tech.
Rodney Williams, a talented option quarterback, does have a little problem throwing the football because they don't do it too much. And then Rick Strom, big strapping guy who probably is loving Bobby Ross's offense because he's throwing it downfield.
And there are some key people on the defensive side of the ball that those quarterbacks will be looking out for.
Ricardo Ingram, Georgia Tech's outstanding free safety, an All-American, Athlete of the Year in the Atlantic Coast Conference, baseball hit .426. He's going to cause a problem for anybody that goes up against him.
Anytime you come into Death Valley, intimidation can be a factor, so Georgia Tech wants to get off to a good start and no turnovers early. We're coming back for the kickoff at Clemson after this. We're back live at Clemson, where today the overpowering Tiger defense gets a test from Georgia Tech and its master offensive strategist, Bobby Ross. New excitement has come to Georgia Tech football in the person of Bobby Ross, who won 3 straight ACC championships at Maryland with a pro-style offense. Igniting the attack is much improved quarterback Rick Strom, who appears to be coming into his own as he looks to lead the Yellow Jackets toward the Atlantic Coast Conference Summit. Danny Ford has 3 ACC titles to show for his time at Clemson as well. But Ford has done it mostly on the ground, using powerful linemen and talented backs to steamroll over ACC opposition and build what now appears to be the league's premier football program. Today at Death Valley, it's Georgia Tech challenging Clemson.
Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions presents exclusive live coverage of Atlantic Coast Conference football. Today's game is brought to you by the Jefferson Pilot Companies, helping to put a brighter face on the future. By the airline of ACC country, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by First Wachovia, serving the financial needs of individuals and businesses in the Southeast and the nation.
The things they've been saying here at Clemson is, can the Tigers win when it doesn't rain? It's rained each of the first 3 weeks for them, and they've won their games. Today they play on a dry field, nice weather, temperature 80 degrees as you see. And the big question for Georgia Tech, can they withstand the heat with the lack of depth that they have on their offensive line and in their defense as well? Let's take a look at the AC Delco starting lineups. First of all, the Clemson offense.
Rodney Williams, number 13, a junior option quarterback, does it very well. Tracy Johnson, he's going to be in there fullback. And Gary Cooper, who has 9 receptions, he's going to be the guy that Rodney Williams looks to when he wants to throw that football. Offensive line, Dan Perriman, tight end. Jeff Back, who's the center, and a real good one. John Phillips, shooting for All-American honors at that right guard position.
Georgia Tech has won the toss, but they deferred their option till the second half, so Clemson will receive the first half kickoff as he looks at Thomas Palmer. Number 33.
right, there's the kickoff. That thing's booted into the end zone. So Clemson will take the ball on the 20-yard line.
And we started off the ball game with a bad microphone, but we're set to go now as Clemson did not get to return the kick, and they will start it from the 20-yard line. And the Tigers will come out with Rodney Williams at quarterback. They've won all 3 of their ball games so far. 1st and 10 at the 20. And Georgia Tech defensively played very well for 3 quarters last week and then had their problems in the 4th quarter against the hurry-up offense from North Carolina.
Ivory Lee, number 56, will be the guy in that middle for Georgia Tech, Gary.
On first down, their center exchange is not a good one, and they lose about a yard or 2. Rodney Williams fortunate to cover up. So it'll be 2nd down and about 12.
Here you take a look at Georgia Tech. Willie Burks, they call him Bam Bam because he likes to knock people down. We talked about Ivory Lee and Sean Smith, number 91. Willis Crockett's a fine outside linebacker. Eric Thompson, another linebacker in the middle. And Paul Jorgensen is a big guy. Cedric Stallworth starts in the secondary. And there's Ricardo Ingram. You'll be seeing a lot of him, number 47.
Tracy Johnson is the fullback. Wesley McFadden, the tailback. And Williams to throw for the first time and completes his pass to Keith Jennings. Probably their best possession receiver. Gets it right up around the first down marker at the 30-yard line. About a 12-yard gain. Ricardo Ingram, you look out there covering up.
It's an option play out of that eye. Here Rodney Williams shows the talent that he does have. Keith Jennings makes the big grab. Jennings 6'4", 225. He's going to be hard to stop.
He is a real tall target and a very sure-handed receiver. 1st and 10, almost out to the 31-yard line. Couple of tight ends in the formation for Clemson. They pitch it to McFadden, and McFadden gets about 3 or 4 yards. Ricardo Ingram again, the free safety, in on the stop.
He had 20 tackles in their last 2 games, and already he's starting where he stopped. Clemson likes to run the pitch out of the eye. They like to run the option. Showed a little different wrinkle by throwing that option pass a little bit a while ago.
Gain of a little bit more than 2. They'll call it 2nd down and 8. As you look at Danny Ford peering intently at his offense at work as we just get started here at Death Valley. The fullback, no, they pitch it instead to McFadden, and McFadden across the 40 to the 41-yard line, right up around the first down marker once again, and it's Paul Jorgensen, the outside linebacker, with help from Ingram on the stop, and Ingram will be around that football all day.
Georgia Tech is setting their strong safety into the wide side. That time Clemson goes away from the strength of the Tech defense and works the option play into the sideline where Georgia Tech was minus a man.
2nd first down of the game it is for Clemson. Tigers move the ball on the ground about 78% of the time. So when they throw, if they throw well, they can really do some business because the defense not usually looking for it.
Interesting, too, on first down. They rushed 173 times on first down. First down, only throw 47.
Williams will throw on first down here. Air it out over the middle. And he's got Gary Cooper inside the 20-yard line of Georgia Tech. And that's just what we were talking about. If they will throw on first down, they can really do some business. Sammy Lilly on the coverage, a 40-yard gain.
Just goes to show you that you've got to be prepared on the other side of the ball because Clemson has not been throwing on first down. So what do? Rodney Williams drops back, and there's a nice shot down the middle to Gary Cooper. Sammy Lilly making the stop.
It's already Gary Cooper's 10th reception of the season. Put him over 20 yards per catch with that long gain. 1st and 10, the second fumble off the exchange, and let's see who got it. Georgia Tech says they have it. Still no official indication. Of course, both sides claiming possession. And as you see, Georgia Tech does have it. So a very good first drive. The long pass play completed for Clemson, but then the turnover. And Georgia Tech has it for the first time.
Georgia Tech was without Ivory Lee last year when we did the Clemson game. And Ivory Lee, 6'2", 271, the nose tackle. He's already created 2 problems, 2 bad snaps. Clemson loses the football.
Jay Martin was the man who recovered it for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech starts from just inside its 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Over the years, when Clemson loses at home, turnovers are usually the culprit. Darrell Edwards, the fullback, Malcolm King, the tailback. That was Bug Isom in motion, strong to throw. And he overshoots his man, trying to go to the true freshman, Greg Lester, who's been their leading receiver so far. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
One thing, you're not able to sit on a guy like Lester, even though he's a freshman. He's a 4-4 guy. He's a big play man, has 7 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Georgia Tech starts out the kind of thing that they do on 1st down. Mix it up.
I think it's fair to say if they throw on 3rd down exclusively, they'll lose a quarterback or 2 before the day is out, or very possible anyway. That's Massey, the tight end, changing position. King and Edwards in the backfield. 2nd and 10. Michael Dean Perry got across so quickly that Strom gets whatever he can, which is about a yard. I think he got across a bit too quickly, in fact.
Yeah, it looks like he was anticipating the snap. They're also taught those defensive linemen to watch the ball. That time, Michael Dean, I don't think, watched the ball as much as he anticipated the snap.
Holding on the offense.
Wow.
Well, I guess what happened there is Michael Dean was so quick, the guy blocking him had to hold him. Michael Dean Perry, number 91, top side. There he comes. He comes off the ball, arm over, and he's being held. He beat the fella to the gap, the left tackle, Daryl Jenkins, and as a result, Jenkins gets caught for a holding.
I don't know if they ever have mitigating circumstances on penalties, but I think I'd have held him too.
What are you going to do? You got a guy 281 pounds coming after your quarterback scot-free. You got to do something.
They say that Michael Dean plays on a quickness level all his own. You could see it there.
Half the distance of the goal. 2nd down.
The explanation, and so Georgia Tech now will be inside its 10-yard line. Very dangerous part of the field for that offense.
It sure is, and what Clemson likes to do is double up on the outside receivers. So if Georgia Tech's going to throw, they might have to go to their backs and tight ends.
2nd down and 20. Malcolm King to the bottom of your screen with Daryl Edwards. This time it's Tony Stevens who comes across, and we'll see if the offense moved.
Dead ball. Encroachment on the defense. 5 yards.
Well, if I'm on the Georgia Tech offensive line, they would have my attention about now.
What's probably happened yesterday at practice, we saw the Georgia Tech defense run up the hill and grab a hold of Frank Howard's rock. And Clemson probably found out about it, and they're a little mad. They're trying to get off the ball. They're real aggressive at this point.
Well, there's no doubt about that. So 2nd down and 15. This is Georgia Tech's first possession after a Clemson fumble. No score. Bug Isom in motion. Off the draw, nothing there. Tony Stevens, the nose guard, who they tell us is better than William Perry, and we'll talk more about that as the day goes along, but he covered up well on that play.
Tony Stevens, he has the built for this nose guard position. He gets into his man, arm up under, makes the stop. All 6'3", 300 pounds of Tony Stevens.
And Daryl Edwards, well aware of Stevens' presence now. 3rd down and 14. First ball possession down of the game for Georgia Tech. Rick Strom in trouble. Down he goes. Jesse Hatcher starting today because John Johnson, the true freshman bandit end, has a case of turf toe, and Hatcher takes full advantage with a sack.
Clemson that time, Gary, came with both outside linebackers, which meant they came with 5 people, and Hatcher from the backside, the side the quarterback's not able to see anybody coming from, made a nice play.
A 9-yard loss on the play, so Sean McDivitt will kick it away. He's only got a 33-yard net average punting, and very speedy Donnell Wolford waiting near midfield. Just underway first period. Clemson should be in great shape after the kick. A line drive. Wolford with lots of room to run. A good open field tackle was made. 9 yards on the return, 35 yards on the punt, but give credit to Pat James, who, he doesn't make the stop. Wolford goes for a while.
He sure does. He almost broke that little beauty.
So Clemson moves the football, turns it over. Georgia Tech close to 80,000 on hand at Death Valley, and Danny Ford's Tigers in great field position with no score. Their defense, #1 in the country, total defense, and they back Georgia Tech's offense up and are in great shape after a punt.
One thing, too, that Clemson will do down in this area, they like to run that option on 1st down out of the eye, and Georgia Tech will bring a strong safety occasionally when you get into this particular territory.
Wesley McFadden is the tailback. McFadden gets the ball, and he also gets Sean Smith, sophomore out of Cincinnati, in the Clemson backfield.
It's an interesting comparison between the terminology or the philosophy of both coaches. Danny Ford feels to pass, you got to run first, whereas Bobby Ross, he feels that whatever you give me, if it's to pass, I'll take it. If it's to run, I'll take that. There's old Bobby Ross on the sideline. He's thinking now, what are they going to do? They've got to throw.
Ricardo Hooper was at the bottom of your screen. That's Gary Cooper, their big play receiver, at the top on 2nd down and 12. The draw to McFadden, and McFadden inside the 30 to the 29-yard line. Eric Thomas, the linebacker, in on the stop for Georgia Tech. And that will bring up 3rd down. Wesley McFadden and Terry Allen, the Clemson tailbacks, not in the same talent category as some of the ones they've had before, but they are tough and they are north-south runners, and they've been more productive so far than anybody in Clemson history at this stage of their careers.
Well, Danny Ford told us yesterday they're like nails. They have good quickness, but not necessarily the greatest straight-ahead speed.
3rd down and 6. Rodney Williams in trouble. Gets it off to Cooper. Cooper makes a nice move and gets the 1st down. As a result of that move, fumbles the football, but they said the play was dead at the 20-yard line. Eric Thomas on the stop.
Rodney Williams does a beautiful job of just getting rid of this ball on a sprint to the left side. He sets up. There was pressure in his face. He makes a nice throw. And as you can see here, Sammy Lilly was the guy that had to make the stop from the back.
Just inside the 20-yard line of Georgia Tech. Clemson on the move. McFadden on the cut. And pulled down as he got inside the 20 by Ivory Lee. And they like having Ivory Lee back in the lineup. Missed all of last season, but big number 56, kind of a fire plug nose guard.
The right defensive end, Sean Warfield Smith, number 91. Oh, there we go. There's Bam Bam Burks, 261 pounds. Ivory Lee, 271s, 243. And there's Sean Smith, the fellow we just talked about, who slowed the running back down on that last play.
2nd down and 7 from the 17 of Georgia Tech. The fullback Chris Johnson was hit by Eric Thomas, bounced off that, and then Sean Smith wrapped him up. Did not get much. If you're looking for the redhead, Chris Lancaster, the Clemson fans who know their team well, Lancaster is not playing today because of a bad neck, and that takes away their best blocker.
It sure does. He's not a real fast young man. He only runs 5 flat, whereas Tracy Johnson is about a 4.78 guy. But there's a big difference in the way that they block people, Gary.
We'll check on the injured player when we get back. No score, and back after this for your local ACC stations. Today at Frank Howard Field, and the man for whom the stadium is named is back at Clemson. Underwent back surgery. Frank Howard did, the great former Clemson coach, but he is back using a walking stick right now. He says he'll throw that away soon, and they're glad to have him back at Tiger Town. 3rd down and 7 here for Clemson. No score, deep in Georgia Tech territory, and Williams to throw. And the pass is knocked away. Excellent coverage by Ricardo Ingram on Keith Jennings.
Nice setup, good action with the sprint to buy Rodney Williams some time, but Georgia Tech was in the proper defense. You see Rodney back with the fake, trying to throw the out pattern, but the corner, he has outside position with this type of defense, which was a zone to that side.
It would take about a week to tell you all the good things about David Treadwell, but there you see the best. He's 10 of 12 this year. He is perfect in the past few years in the last few minutes of ball games, and he will try here a 34-yard attempt to give Clemson the lead. A fake. How about this? And the pass back to the other side is intercepted, picked off by Eric Thomas, and Thomas up across the 15-yard line, and Georgia Tech will have it. A little razzle-dazzle for Clemson as the holder for the Tigers, Greg Bailey, a senior out of St. George, South Carolina, reared back. It looked like he was trying to go to Tracy Johnson, and the pass picked off by Eric Thomas.
It looked like he was trying to throw to Georgia Tech's defense, Gary.
Well, after all of that, Tech will have it back, and there is still no score.
Now we know why kickers are not quarterbacks. There's the ball. There's the fake. As the kicker tries to make the block there, the holder, he's up. He throws the ball over here into a crowd. Watch who makes the tackle. A hustling offensive lineman, number 71, Ty Granger. There he is. If he's not there, Georgia Tech might go all the way.
Well, after a semi-wild first part of the first quarter, there is no score, and it's Georgia Tech ball at the 14. But no matter how many mistakes you make offensively or on special teams, if you got the best defense in the country, and statistically Clemson does, it's okay. Georgia Tech is minus 8 yards to this point. Starting from its 14-yard line, Rick Strom at quarterback. Jesse Hatcher, and Hatcher pulls him down up at the 28-yard line. First down for Strom, and he's done that a number of times. And your AC Delco Georgia Tech starting lineup.
Rick Strom, who you just saw scramble out to get some yardage there. Malcolm King, the fine running back. Bug Isom, who's starting today as a split end. And here we take an offensive lineman, Robert Massey, Daryl Jenkins, Dean Weaver, perhaps the best one on that offensive line.
The scramble by Strom makes it 1st and 10 at the 28. Alonzo Thomas, number 7, near the top of your screen, the fastest of the Georgia Tech backs. This is Darrell Edwards behind Thomas, and Edwards is really crunched by Rusty Sharpia, who's starting in the game in place of the injured Richard Smith at free safety. And now the Clemson defense in your AC Delco lineups. Well, you're looking at that Clemson defense, and among the players who we'll be talking about, Tony Stevens. Oh, there you see him, Tony Stevens, the great nose guard, and the rest.
Raymond Chavis, the left tackle. Tony Stevens, Michael Dean Perry, number 91. What a load he is.
2nd down and 6 for the Georgia Tech offense with a little room to breathe for the first time in the game. That's Bug Isom in motion. And movement on the left side of the Georgia Tech offensive line. Daryl Jenkins was the man who moved, and here comes the call.
Dead ball, false start on the offense, 5 yards.
If this were the pros, he'd have said number 66, and we'd have said Daryl Jenkins as you look at the Clemson AC Delco starting lineups, the linebackers.
As you watch this game, number 14, Norman Haynes, is 5'10", 205 pounds, but he has 22 tackles already this year. He's the guy that makes that linebacking position work. Donnell Wolford, number 20, Rusty Sharpia, number 31, a walk-on starting at free safety.
Those are our AC Delco starting lineups for this afternoon. Remember, for automotive parts that don't just fit but match, look for AC Delco. 2nd down, 11 for Georgia Tech. Again, Isom in motion. Strom got it off quickly to Daryl Edwards. Edwards gets out of the grasp of Norman Haynes and then is brought down by Donnell Wolford up at the 34-yard line. He'll be about 4 yards shy of a first down.
Another fine play by a quarterback. Strom makes the play action fake here, and there's Jesse Hatcher right in his rib cage, gets the ball off. Daryl Edwards, who's one of their better receivers coming out of backfield, he goes forward, almost gets to first down.
3rd down and 4 with 5:38 to go first period. An important ball possession down for Georgia Tech. That's the freshman Lester in motion. They fake the draw, and the swing pass is batted down by Jesse Hatcher. And Hatcher getting the start for John Johnson has made a couple of big plays already. It's 4th down.
He sure has. He doesn't look like he's missed a step, even though he hasn't been a starter. Thus far, he's been on the big play. There he is, Jesse Hatcher. He almost had him a touchdown.
Clemson fans like it, almost 80,000 strong, and Sean McDivitt, who kicked a low line drive last time, will boot again to Donnell Wolford. Wolford at his 30.
He was averaging 13.3 yards per trip with the punt return, so he's capable of breaking one, Gary.
Flags go down. And we'll wait until they unpile.
Dead ball, false start on the offense, 5 yards, 4th down.
Sean McDivitt will move back 5 yards. That is the 3rd penalty for 19 yards for Georgia Tech.
Clemson's the #1 punt return team in the ACC, averaging 16.2, and as we said, Wolford averages 13.3.
McDivitt now on his 15-yard line. There's no score. We're late in the first period. Good rush. McDivitt got it away. This has better hang time. Backs Wolford up to his 20-yard line. And Wolford is hit, gets away, still on his feet. He has good speed. Look out now. Wolford at midfield. Wolford has a convoy, and Wolford will score a Clemson touchdown. 77 yards. Well, Clemson has been an exciting team when they've returned kicks and when other teams have returned kicks. They've had trouble covering them, but they've had no trouble returning them, and they get on the board on the Wolford return, which will officially be 78 yards. David Treadwell to add the extra point. It's 7-0 Clemson.
Treadwell's now 60 out of 60. He's been perfect ever since he's been here. Oh, look at this. This is unbelievable. Donnell Wolford. 3 guys missed the block here. He's quick enough to get outside. Now he's got a wall of Halloween jerseys. Orange people. There he is. He's turning it on. Key blocks here. It's hard to see there, but Wolford's doing a lot of this on his own. Outstanding guy. He's really something. Doug Brewster, 92, made a key block for those Tigers. Wolford's happy, so are the Tiger fans.
And you saw early the crunch by Jerome Henderson, number 36. It's 7-0 Clemson, 4:39 to go in the first period at Death Valley. A 78-yard punt return by that man. A bit winded, Donnell Wolford. It's 7-0 Clemson.
And Gary, you mentioned to me, which you're certainly right, last week Treadwell missed 1 extra point, but only 1 out of all those tries still isn't bad.
No, Treadwell has been a super kicker for Clemson. I don't think they'd trade him for just about anybody. So we'll get a look at Georgia Tech's offense once again. Bobby Ross certainly didn't want to fall down this quickly, especially if it wasn't going to be his defense that gave up the points. Last time Clemson returned a punt for a touchdown was back in 1970. As you look at Rusty Sile, that was Don Kelly who went 85 yards against Maryland. There's Richard Hills back deep to receive for Georgia Tech. Now Clemson's had some trouble returning or covering kicks. They've had 1 kickoff returned long for them and 1 punt returned long. Hills will start from the 3. A little bit of a crease and got up about to the 28-yard line. Tyler Grimes, who makes a good amount of the Clemson tackles, was in on the play and had some help as well.
Richard Hills is the kind of athlete you like to have on your football team. He's been an outside receiver. Now he's a running back, and he's also helping out returning kicks. Has a lot of speed.
7-0 Clemson. Georgia Tech starts from its 29-yard line. Rick Strom. Offensive coordinator Ralph Friedgen told us that he could be a pro quarterback someday. He's got those kind of tools. He's got Terrence Curry in the game at fullback, but this is Malcolm King, the tailback. Some good blocking up ahead, and King up to the 44-yard line before Arlington Nunn, a freshman out of Clearwater, Florida, made the stop. A 15-yard gain for Malcolm King.
Malcolm King off the left side of that line. Dean Weaver and Darrell Jenkins. King is wearing a flak jacket today. Bruised his ribs. He comes through a nice hole, but he's got a lot of guts just to be out there playing.
At the 43-yard line, 1st and 10 for the Yellow Jackets. King and Curry are the backs. The draw to King. Dances around 1 potential tackler, and then down he goes in the arms of John Johnson, who's in the game now at the bandit defensive end position for the Tigers.
In this area of the field, the Georgia Tech Jackets have a... Let's take a look now as Eric Bearden, the center, comes off here on Tony Stevens. He holds his own here, and that's what you have to have out of your center to control that nose guard so your offensive lineman can establish a line of scrimmage in the Clemson area.
Georgia Tech very thin on the offensive line. Their starting right tackle, Jesse Marion, not here today. And they don't have a lot of backups with comparable quality to the first-teamers. 2nd and 5. This is Terrence Curry's first carry, and he is not going to get a whole lot. Down he goes in the arms of Wayne Harps, outside linebacker, sophomore out of Griffin, Georgia.
When you start looking at this next down, which is one of the toughest downs in football, 3rd and about a 1.5, Clemson's defense has only allowed 29% success, 14 out of 48 plays, 14 times teams have only made a 3rd down situation.
And tough to move out that Clemson nose guard, Tony Stevens. We'll talk more about him as the day goes along. Tremendous strength and good quickness as well. 3rd and 1. And now a timeout is called for, I believe, by the Tigers. Yeah, Clemson wants to regroup defensively. They made some less than judicious use of their timeouts last week against Georgia. That because they were using a bunch of different folks at tight end with the injury to their starter, Jerome Williams. And here, Danny Ford can't be terribly happy to take a timeout on defense with 3 minutes still to go in the first period.
No, I think here that Danny Ford, realizing that it is maybe a passing situation, maybe than a run situation, changed some linemen, brought in some extra DBs, and possibly they expect Georgia Tech to pull a little trickery here.
Let's check on some of the baseball scores from last night. Important pennant race games. Toronto, in the last of the 9th inning, overtook Detroit and now leads by 2.5 in the American East. Kansas City stays alive in the American West, still down by 6 to the Twins. The Cardinals lose, the Mets win, and so the Cardinals lead is only 2.5 over the Mets, and San Francisco coasting to the Western Division title, beating Atlanta. We're talking about last week. Tigers had tight ends they wanted to use on runs, tight ends only on passes. They used a wide receiver, Keith Jennings at tight end, and as a result, they took a lot of timeouts last week. 3rd down and 1. That is Edwards in motion. Strom to throw, has pressure and can't complete the pass as a result. That's the danger against Clemson with the bandit John Johnson coming in. A flag is down.
We could have an offside here. Oh, yeah, we have an offside. Michael Dean Perry, but Georgia Tech had it set up nice. They moved the tailback out in motion and made them, left them with one back. Offsides. They had a little play action.
On the defense, 5 yards, first down.
But Tech had a little play action, had a man open, but no wonder Michael Dean and the rest of the Clemson players were able to get there before he could get it off. A little offside there.
Reggie Harris was also putting pressure on for Clemson. That's the danger against that Tiger defense. Whatever you do, you better do it in a hurry.
And change up the count so you can get them offside like they did that time against Michael Dean Perry.
Another first down for Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets trail 7-0 late in the first period. Robert Massey in motion. Strom on the give to Malcolm King, and Raymond Chavis, number 79, brought him down. And just about everybody in that Clemson defensive front, we can tell you a story about how great he is. They've got one great athlete after another.
And they average out about 292. Raymond Chavis being a part of that group, he's 295. So they've got power, strength, and you can see they move down the line of scrimmage very well.
He came from the land of the Perrys in Aiken, South Carolina. Clemson, as you see, up a touchdown as we wind down the first period. And Donnell Wolford on a 78-yard punt return for the only score thus far. Greg Lester and Bug Eisen coming out wide for Georgia Tech. 2nd down and 9. And now Georgia Tech wants to take time. So both teams a little bit unsure here about what they want to do. And Georgia Tech will talk it over. Bobby Ross and Rick Strom. Strom, a guy who last year took some heat from the fans. They felt he looked a little shaky at times, but this year has done nothing but look real good in the early going.
He's a passing quarterback. Last year under Bill Curry, they ran the ball more than they threw, so he had a little problem settling in. And now you see Ross telling him, look, this is not last year. This is a new system. Just run the play we called because we're going to put somebody down the middle against that zone against Clemson and see if we can get a touchdown back.
He says, yeah, but by the time that guy's down the middle, I'm looking up at the blue sky.
And then Bobby said, well, we'll take that responsibility, and then when we see the film, the play works, you can say, Coach, nice call.
You got me. I don't have an answer for that. That may well be what he said as Bobby Ross walks away, having conversed with his quarterback. It's hot down there. We were down there yesterday afternoon. It's about 80 degrees, but as the day wears along, if that sun happens to be beating on you, you can wear down, and certainly that's a concern for Georgia Tech. They're much thinner than Clemson.
They sure are.
2nd down and 9. Terrence Curry again joins Malcolm King in the Georgia Tech backfield. Curry is 42. That's Greg Lester, the freshman, in motion. And there are those Clemson defenders in the backfield. That time James Earl, and he is another great athlete making the deflection.
James Earl coming from the top side, and also Michael Dean Perry shows up. There it is. There's the play block. Dean Perry's putting on the pressure, and it's James Earl who knocks it down. Quite a play by the defense.
Strom is 1 for 4 for only 7 yards, but that orange defense has an awful lot to do with it. 3rd down and 9, and somebody's going to be coming on this one too. Just cuts right on through. I mean to tell you, he's as quick as they come. The refrigerator got an awful lot of publicity, but Michael Dean might turn out to be better.
Top side, he really zeroes in on the snap of the ball. Nobody touches him because the quarterback's going on the quick count. Got to change it up. Get Michael Dean to jump a little bit. Got to hold him from coming off that ball.
There you see Michael Dean. Sean McDivitt in his familiar punting position. Will become more familiar as the day goes along. James Lott has dropped back to receive for Clemson. And McDivitt had Michael Perry running at him. Lott calls for the fair catch, but lets it go. Takes a bounce at the 1, and in it goes. That would have only been turnabout fair play, considering Clemson won its game last week against Georgia on that kind of a play, really.
Oh, some people out there would probably say Donnell Wolford returned the last punt for a touchdown. Why put James Lott in? Well, he's only averaging 20.8 every time he gets his hand under a punt.
Share the wealth, right?
Right.
Terry Allen will be in at tailback now for Clemson, one of the 2 outstanding young tailbacks. We've seen McFadden, now we'll see Allen. There's Rodney Williams. Tracy Johnson at fullback. That's Keith Jennings in motion. This is Allen. Allen got away from Ivory Lee, and then Don Wilson got a piece of him, and Eric Thomas brought him down across the 30, but a 12-yard gain for Terry Allen on his first carry.
That's what Clemson likes to do well. First down, run the ball, pitch it back to Terry Allen. Let him follow his blockers up front. John Phillips, the All-American. Jeff Nunemacher, number 78, the right tackle. And then say, Allen, do something on your own, and he does.
First down at the 33-yard line for Clemson. They lead 7-0. We're in the final minute of the first quarter. Tracy Johnson runs right into Ivory Lee. And if there's one reason that Georgia Tech's defense has improved over a year ago, it's probably number 56 at the nose.
I have to agree with you. Ivory Lee, 271, and he's not taking on what you would call an average center because Jeff Back, number 60 for Clemson, has been in that position. So Ivory Lee's doing a nice job out there.
Second down and 9. That's the time remaining in the first period. Terry Allen once again, and he is tripped up in the backfield by Jay Morton, the strong safety. And it will be third down. Terry Allen, only 5'9", 190 pounds, but he runs strong. He runs north-south, gets his shoulders squared, did a great job along with McFadden on that final drive of last week's victory against Georgia. First quarter is history, and all we have on the board is a 78-yard punt return from Donnell Wolford. And so the Tiger is happy. Clemson 7, Georgia Tech nothing. Back with more at Death Valley. 7-0 Clemson as we start the second period at beautiful Frank Howard Field. And the first quarter stats.
Georgia Tech 26, Clemson got 30. That's in the rush, and then you see total yards 33-92. Actually, Clemson and Georgia Tech aren't that far apart, other than that 78-yard touchdown run by Donnell Wolford with the punt return.
Well, the Clemson defense has been stifling, but it's only 7-0. Clemson third down and 8 at its 34-yard line. Rodney Williams has time and overshoots Tracy Johnson and almost had it picked off. Willie Burks, I think, got a piece of it at the line of scrimmage. May have affected the flight of the pass, but either way, it'll be fourth down.
Actually, Clemson, somewhere along the line's got to go to their tight end. Dan Pearman was wide open, crossed the field right to left. I know they don't throw to the tight ends, but they're open.
Well, now, all of Clemson's tight ends who will play today have a combined 2 career receptions. So to say, and one is back in 1984.
So what does that tell you?
It tells you they don't throw to the tight end. That's what it tells me.
They should. That's why they're going to be open.
Rusty Sile will kick it away to Ricardo Ingram. Not a good kick by Sile. Could turn out all right, though. Takes a good bounce. Ingram fields it at the 23-yard line and goes down right about there. Covering on the play was Matt Riggs out of Laurinburg, North Carolina, the younger brother of tight end Jim Riggs, now with the Cincinnati Bengals. 45-yard punt, 2-yard return, and Riggs on the stop. So Georgia Tech offensively only down a touchdown early second period.
And got to remember, their offense is leading the ACC in total offense, 463 yards. And the kind of things that Bobby Ross does, any play, any quarter, they can strike.
They start from their 24. Rick Strawn, #1 in passing efficiency in the ACC. This is the first carry for Richard Hills and Matt Riggs up from the secondary on the stop. Richard Hill's a former wide receiver who's been moved to running back and has great speed. There you look at him.
They can use that speed because when a guy like Richard Hills gets in the secondary, he has the opportunity to go all the way because he does have that 4-4 quickness.
Georgia Tech without Jerry Mays, who would have been their #1 back this year, but he's gone for the season after a knee injury at the end of spring practice, so that's when they moved Hills to the running back spot. 2nd down and 7. McCullough got back, goes across again and got back. Strom to throw, and Strom completes his pass over the middle. About a 12-yard gain to Terry Pettis, a freshman out of Thompson, Georgia. And it'll be a 1st down for Georgia Tech.
Rick Strom stood in there with a lot of poise. He had a little bit more time, changed the count a little bit to draw him off sides, but didn't quite get it. He releases his ball downfield and really takes a shot. What a shot he took there as Richard McCullough, who was the big guy, the backup guy for Perry, who came in there to do that.
Good job by Pettis. The ball a little bit behind him. 1st and 10. This is Hills, and not going to go very far. Vance Hammond, freshman defensive tackle out of Spartanburg, South Carolina, who is 3rd on the depth chart. They play a lot of people on the defensive line.
They've got so many people that are great athletes, it's hard to keep them on the bench. Plus Georgia Tech now, as you see, they've run the ball 3 straight times, got to control and slow down the pass rush before you can put it up.
I think Bobby Ross has to feel reasonably good about things here. I say that because it's only 7-0. The only score has come on special teams, and they're right here in the Valley in pretty good shape.
Well, he knew that when he talked to us yesterday. He said, we think we've got a good line, and we know that to block those people, that we've got to be able to stand in there, slug them and fight them, and it's a 4-quarter game.
They do have to offset the rush, though. As you said, 2nd down and 10. Strom off play action being chased. And Strom is out of bounds as Norman Haynes drove him there.
Well, they had the right play called because Clemson had everybody coming from the left side. Strom sprinting out to his left, and Norman Haynes, number 14, will show up here in your picture. He's that little linebacker that's got all kind of quicks. There he is. He just wanted a piece of Strom, and he said, I'm going to get you, and he did. Vance
Hammond playing the part of the bird dog on that play, just making sure Strom kept running. 3rd down, 11. Steve Davenport in motion. Fake the draw. The swing pass to Darrell Edwards, and Norman Haynes rides him down about 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage and about 5 shy of a 1st down.
Interesting play there. They actually had it. They have this set up. It is to screen. They try to hold the line with a little fake in here to the fullback. The pressure's there. Gets the ball off. That was Hatcher pressuring him. Norman Haynes, though, don't go for it because if he's not there, they might go the distance.
Sean McDivitt, this has got to be his 4th or 5th kick of the, well, they say only 2. All right. 3rd punt of the day. James Lott back deep. Seemed like he'd been back there a lot. McDivitt will kick from just in front of his 30. Decent hang time. Lott from his 17. Lott has room. Look out now. McDivitt couldn't. Well, McDivitt did drive him out of bounds, the punter. Boy, when you're having trouble punting against this Clemson defense, you've really got a problem.
You sure do.
40-yard punt, 26-yard return. Clemson has the 7-0 lead and the ball back as well.
There's the wall as you see it here. That's what James Lott sees. Starts to the right side now. Look at him split this seam right through there, and that's, let's see. Oh, he just turns on the speed and goes outside here and gets knocked out. Good thing he did, or he might have taken that one all the way.
Georgia Tech has punted the ball 4 times for a 13.8 net average. Might as well go for it.
How many?
13.8. First and 10 for Clemson. They only lead 7-0 though at their 47. Terry Allen is the tailback. Tracy Johnson going just about all the way at fullback, and that's Johnson with the ball. Breaks a tackle and gets about 3 yards. Willie Burks slowed him down, and Sean Smith finished him up.
Now we know why they call Burks Bam Bam. He was right there hammering and popping and knocking heads, doing the best he could, and he made a nice play.
11:55 to go, first half. That was Tracy Johnson's third carry. We'll tell you again that Clemson is playing without Chris Lancaster, who usually splits time with Johnson. Two tight ends in the game for Clemson. Chip Davis in as well as a wide receiver. This is Terry Allen. Allen is dragged down by Chris Simmons. Not my correction. I'm sorry. Doug Sendobry, a linebacker out of Salt Lake, Utah, a senior, as you look at Terry Allen.
He's a big guy, number 89, Doug Sendobry. There's the pitch back on the double tight end situation. Watch him come through. He weighs about 240 pounds, so he's in there to help stop that run.
3rd down and 7. Ball possession down for the Clemson offense. Williams on the roll. Up in the air and almost picked off. It will be 4th down. Trying to go to Ricardo Hooper. And Ricardo Ingram had a shot at the interception.
Nice play call there, but the only problem that Rodney Williams had is that he was sprinting to his left. He never got his body turned to throw back across his body to Ricardo Hooper.
So Rusty Sile will kick it away for Clemson. Ricardo Ingram back deep for Georgia Tech. 7-0 Clemson on a punt return touchdown. Sile hits a floater. Fair catch Ingram at the 12-yard line, and that is where Georgia Tech will have it, a 37-yard punt. So Georgia Tech has it back, but in precarious field position, and we're back after this for your local ACC stations. 5 drives has been its own 29-yard line. They've started from their 19, 15, 29, 24, and now from the 12.
One thing that you don't like as a passing team, even though Tech has 300 yards per game in the air, Clemson allows only 82.3, and they like it when they got you down here behind your own end zone.
Robert Massey in motion. Strom fake to give to Edwards. And Jesse Hatcher buries Rick Strom. Michael Dean Perry was in the area. And they will almost have to roll out or draw a screen or something because they just can't keep the pressure off.
They've got to go with a quick screen. They've got a trap. And they also got to run some sprint outs right and left, as you mentioned there, Gary, because Strom is really going to be bruised up. And if he gets one good on that arm, it's going to be difficult to throw the ball downfield anyway.
That was the 3rd sack for Clemson, and they've had a number of what they call hurries as well. 2nd down, 16 for Tech. And Alonzo Thomas met in the backfield, in trouble, and the second wave gets him. Michael Dean Perry hit him first, and Angelo Fox, who's the 3rd nose guard used in this game by Clemson, there he is, made the stop.
All 6'3", 299 pounds of him. I'm telling you, that nose guard, Eric Bearton, is going to have a long day because he's got 3 coming at him that are pretty huge and big.
It will be 3rd and 16. Georgia Tech operating in reverse against the number 1 defense in the country in total defense. In the end zone, Strom completes his pass. And I believe he got a first down out of it as well. 16-yard gain to the freshman Greg Lester. Took a good pop there, but held on to the ball.
He's going to sprint right. He's going to buy some time. He makes the fake to his tailback. Lester's running a comeback pattern at about 15. Freshman knowing where the sticks are to get the first down. That's what's impressive. And Arlington Nunn makes the stop, number 39.
Gave him a good stick, but a good job by Lester to hang on. 1st and 10 for Tech. Steve Davenport in the slot. The draw to Alonzo Thomas and McCullough. Richard McCullough on the stop. McCullough, who is playing behind Michael Dean Perry. If we didn't have Michael Dean on the field, we'd be telling you that Richard McCullough could be a superstar. 257-pound junior. Tom Harper says he has arms that cross the street.
Probably the biggest difference in the two is that Perry's a little quicker, but McCullough's taller and just as strong.
Very strong, yeah. 2nd down and 9. This is Darrell Edwards, and Jesse Hatcher, who has a bunch of tackles in the first half, brought him down after a gain of about 4.
You have to run this kind of plan because if you don't, you're going to be in big trouble, which Georgia Tech has been getting pressure on the quarterback. They come with the draw. Maybe they don't make a lot of yards. It still slows that D-line down. Now they came with the trap to the left side. So they're getting done what they're trying to accomplish.
Also takes some time off the clock.
Sure does.
3rd down and 5. Tech is only 1 for 5 on these 3rd down plays. This is intended downfield for Steve Davenport, but just out of his reach and incomplete. James Lott on the coverage, and it will be 4th down.
If you're going to set up to throw a deep pattern, somebody has got to block 55 Hatcher, who came free from the right side. Steve Davenport made a nice effort diving, trying to get the ball, but Hatcher was right on Rick Strom's back.
Punt number 5 for Sean McDivitt. I wonder why Donnell Wolford has not been back there since his punt return touchdown.
He's still on the oxygen. He's a little tired.
Yeah, but Lots had some runbacks of his own since then.
Maybe that's the key. When one gets returned, the other one don't come back until the other one gets
wear these guys down, get them tired, make them run a lot, right?
Right.
McDivitt, again, pretty good hang time, but Lott has a little bit of room. And that time, Steve Mullen, number 84, made the stop for Georgia Tech in a pretty good stick. 40-yard punt, and only 3 yards on the return for James Lott, which is a major victory for the coverage team the way things have gone. 7:56 to go, first half. Clemson has a punt return for a touchdown, and that's been it so far. Coming up at halftime, we'll take a look at last week's action in the ACC around the league. We will also have our ACC Champions feature, a look at a previous Georgia Tech-Clemson meeting on One for the Books, and a look at the scores on the Jefferson Pilot scoreboard. Gary Sparber with Roman Gabriel, 7:56 to go, first half. It's 7-0 Clemson. The Tiger defense has been dominant, but the offense hasn't put any points on the board yet. Let's give some credit to this Georgia Tech defense, which is bent but not broken at all. Wesley McFadden back in at tailback, number 22. Tracy Johnson at fullback. This is McFadden behind the block of Johnson, and he's crunched up at the 37 or 38-yard line by Ricardo Ingram, the ACC Athlete of the Year for 1986-87.
Coming into this ball game, Ricardo Ingram had also forced 2 fumbles, and the way he comes out of that free safety position to strike a running back, it's obvious why he forces so many fumbles.
2nd down, 6. Tigers at their 38. That's Gary Cooper in motion. And this is McFadden. McFadden has a first down, and McFadden across midfield.
Wesley McFadden.
One thing Rodney Williams does very well is run the option. Andre Thomas, the rover back, eventually brought down Wesley McFadden.
Rodney Williams has excellent peripheral vision. That ball pops out to McFadden. Take a look there. Oh, we had a nice block in there by Gary Cooper, number 25. All right, here's that triple option into the belly. Guy comes down, defensive tackle, so he got to take it out, and then he goes on out and runs it off the linebacker and does a nice job.
It's a first down for Clemson at the 47 of Georgia Tech. Tracy Johnson, the fullback. Look at him drive inside the 40-yard line, about 9 yards on the carry before John Porter brought him down. Tracy Johnson's been a great blocker at Clemson, and they tell us that they expect right now for him to come into his own and be a great runner as well. And as you see, he's done well early this year.
He has a little bit more quickness than Lancaster, but Johnson, as you can see there, also has the leg drive, and it's important for a fullback to be able to drag people along.
2nd down and 1. That's Chip Davis in motion. This is McFadden, first down. Inside the 35-yard line of Georgia Tech, Cedric Stallworth, the cornerback, on the tackle. Terry Allen now will come in to replace Wesley McFadden. As you see, he had a shoe problem. There is one of the best blocking fullbacks in America, and I don't kid you when I say that. Chris Lancaster is a hard-nosed, rock-solid kid who's got a neck injury today, and so he's not playing for Clemson. 1st and 10 at the 33. This is Terry Allen, and Allen goes down after about a yard or 2 gain. Willis Crockett, the outside linebacker and a junior for Georgia Tech, made the stop.
Just a toss into the short side to Phil again. Willis Crockett, who's playing that outside linebacking position, had to come over top of one blocker to make the stop, and it's an outstanding play. Clemson staying with 2 tight ends because when you have a great passing team that you're facing, you want your offense to control that clock and keep the ball on the ground.
2nd down, 8. Terry Allen straight ahead. And Allen bouncing off tacklers to the 19-yard line. Finally brought down by the free safety Ingram, but a good run by Terry Allen.
All right, we can see why the Tech linebackers aren't really making too many tackles, because guys like Ty Granger, Pat Williams, Jeff Back, and John Phillips are doing such a super job allowing those running backs to get up through there. It's difficult for linebackers to get off the block when they're in their face so quick.
Terry Allen showing good strength for a little guy in his running. 1st down at the 18-yard line of Georgia Tech. Keith Jennings in motion. This is Wesley McFadden. And McFadden slowed up in the backfield by Willie Burks, and then Ingram and Willis Crockett able to come on and make the stop. Georgia Tech's got some good athletes as well on the defensive side of the ball. Problem is we're seeing the same ones, especially on the front line, whereas Clemson's had 2 or 3 deep. That could have something to do with what we see in the 4th quarter.
Well, it sure does. And Clemson, being that they run the ball about 80 to 85% of the time and they continue to hammer away at you, it takes a little bit out of you when you don't have a lot of depth.
I'll give you an interesting stat about how they may already be wearing down that defense after this play. Still with the ball is Williams. The pitch to Terry Allen, and Allen driving into the belly of Ricardo Ingram, got down to the 9-yard line. And I believe he got another Clemson 1st down. We'll see where they spot it. First 10 times, well, let's watch the replay.
All right, watch the defensive tackle come down, so he takes it out, but now Rodney Williams falls as Sean Warfield Smith had a play, and boy, I'm telling you, this is just good, sound, hard-nosed football that we're seeing by Clemson.
Going to come out and measure. The first 10 times Clemson rushed the ball, they got 26 yards against the Georgia Tech defensive front. The second 10 times, they got 56 yards.
It's starting to...
So it may be starting already.
It sure is. Gary, Clemson is just so strong, and they're accomplishing what they want because they don't want Georgia Tech's offense on the field. They can strike at any time, whereas Clemson relies on a plodding ground game that's exciting because of those blockers and those running backs.
A little bit shy of the 1st down, so it's 3rd down and a little bit less than 1. And let's look elsewhere. Notre Dame on top of Purdue. Lou Holtz has it going early. West Virginia and Pittsburgh tied at 3 in the 2nd period. Battle in coal country. 3rd down, less than 1. Wesley McFadden and Tracy Johnson. Johnson 42, McFadden 22. That's Jennings leading the play, and Johnson may have gotten it on forward momentum, but if he did, he didn't get it by much.
Last play from the right side, Jennings came in motion, then he stopped short over the right guard and took on the linebacker, and they brought it on in there with the fullback and the tailback leading the way, and John Phillips. So they had a lot of talent and a lot of beef trying to make that 1st down.
Trying to measure one more time. Not surprising to see them go behind right guard when they need just a little bit of yardage. John Phillips has been a stud for them for a few years now.
First time, I think, in anybody's history I've ever heard of knockdowns, and Phillips has got 34 of those. John Phillips, 61. Bingo. There's Bach to center, and then we see the block by the back, and then Keith Jennings in motion. They got 5 guys leading the way to try to get about a half a yard. You should come out of there with it.
The poor linebacker, Doug Sendover, he first got hit by Tracy Johnson. Phillips got him. As you look at Auburn over Tennessee, 3-0. 1st down and goal now for Clemson. This is Tracy Johnson, and Willie Burks stood his ground with help from Eric Thomas in a gain of only about a yard.
It's tough down here in this territory. They pitch it back with the flanker coming in motion, but Willie Burks, he plays it off the right shoulders, keeps his feet, and now makes the stop. Eric Thomas was there too, number 49, the linebacker, so they finally put a little stop to that Clemson momentum. 2nd
down and goal from the 8. Terribly important defensive series for Georgia Tech. This is the 11th play of the Clemson drive, so they've eaten some clock. The pitch to McFadden. And and McFadden pulled down by Sean Smith from behind. A big play by number 91, Sean Smith, the sophomore out of Cincinnati, Ohio, 6'8", so he's got a little bit of reach to him.
Pitch back again out of the I formation this time, and we watch Sean Smith play this thing the way it's supposed to. He comes from behind to make the stop, 243. His first cousin's Paul Warfield, so you'd think that maybe he would be a receiver too.
At 6'8", he'd be a pretty dangerous receiver.
He sure
Just
would.
throw a jump ball. Third down and goal, and now timeout is called for by the Tigers as they use their second timeout of the first half, but this is the part of the period when you expect to use them as you look at Danny Ford.
Now Danny Ford is going to have a little conversation with his quarterback along with the coordinators, and they're going to say, now if we do throw the ball here, don't turn it over, Rodney. Run it, throw it out of the end zone, but please don't throw an interception. Now, knowing what they like to do, they'll probably stay on the ground with it.
Well, they could send Rodney Williams on an option roll, pass or run.
Like that, because they enjoy coming out of the I, making the fake to the tailback, having Rodney Williams go on the run, and then looking for the tight end going to the corner of the end zone.
At the conclusion of today's game, we'll be picking two Holiday Inn most valuable players of the game, one from each team. So far on this drive, Clemson has been on the ground the whole way, 11 plays, and they have used up 5 minutes and 42 seconds, all but 2 minutes and 14 seconds of this first half. Clemson 7, Georgia Tech nothing.
Something, too, that Georgia Tech likes to do in this area of the field is bring the strong safety. And this, not only do you bring a safety to try to stop the pass, but it's also good against a running team. It gives you an extra guy up there to make a tackle.
We'll see if they do on third down and goal from the 9. Here's the roll by Rodney. He will run, and Rodney got to the 2-yard line. So it'll be fourth down. Sean Smith and Cedric Stallworth on the stop by Georgia Tech.
Coach Ford heard you that time on the sprint out here as they come out of the I. There's Rodney Williams. I think he was running all the way. Look at him. He has clear field in front of him. He's going to make the, well, it's not quite a, he don't quite get there, and they got a fourth down. Eric Thomas, the linebacker for Georgia Tech, made a fine stop.
So the choice for Danny Ford, do you send on David Treadwell and get an almost sure 3 points? Or do you go for it and maybe only lead 7-0 at halftime after all the good work you've done? Tough choice, really.
Well, we saw one of these happen in North Carolina.
Well, Danny Ford has called his final timeout. I believe I would add the 3 points. Get him on the board.
I remember we had this conversation when Carolina played Illinois, North Carolina that is. And
well, Danny agrees with me already. Look at
all right, well, then I don't have to make it.
Well, see, you've been a riverboat gambler since you got off the coaching sidelines.
But it's early in the game. Whenever you do something like that early in the game, you got plenty of time to come back.
Yeah, but then in the fourth quarter, you look up and it's 7-0. You say, boy, I wish I had that field goal.
And then you sit down with the press afterwards. You say, I made a big mistake, guys.
Well, they tried a field goal early in the game, or set up as if to try a field goal, and their holder, Greg Bailey, ended up throwing a ball that was picked off by Georgia Tech. I don't know that we'll see that again.
David Treadwell was the key blocker on that particular play.
David Treadwell says, hey, I can kick it through. Let me add some points here. Bailey once again holding. 1:28 to go first half. 7-0 Clemson. And the kick by Treadwell is like most of Treadwell's kicks. No problem. His 11th field goal of the season in 13 tries. So Clemson goes on a long ball control drive. Treadwell connects for 3. It's 10-0 Tigers.
Second leading field goal country in the country, second leading field goal kicker in the country. He keeps the head down, comes through the ball, and it's good because he has done it so much and so well.
He is a clutch kicker as well. 7 for 7 in the last 8 minutes of Clemson ball games, and 5 times he's either tied the game or won the game in the closing minutes.
Nice to have a fellow like that you can rely on.
Absolutely. 10-0 Clemson. 1:24 to go in the first period. Last 3 times Clemson's had the ball, they have not gained a yard passing.
Well, they haven't had to.
No, that's it.
They've been running it.
Wasn't being critical of them, merely stating the fact.
And that's a good fact.
Rusty Sile will boot it away for Clemson. Richard Hills back deep to receive. There you look at him for Georgia Tech. Hills at the 3. Across the 20. Hit, and down he goes. Wayne Harps on the stop for Clemson. Hill's got up around the 25-yard line. Georgia Tech has 1 minute and 17 seconds after the 23-yard return.
And they have decent field position if you call the 20-yard line decent field position, but compared to what they've been operating with, this might give them an opportunity to go to 3 wide outs and see if they can get down the field and get something on the board.
Of course, the problem there is time for the quarterback. He hasn't had it so far. Good time here for Strom, and the pass is batted down by Tony Stevens. They don't get to you, they knock the pass down.
Now they're creating a lot of pressure, and they're moving the Georgia Tech offensive lineman right into the pocket. Strom just a 5-step drop because he wants to get rid of it quick. He had a post pattern coming here, but Tony Stevens was able to leap up and show the great skill that he has.
You know, really, that ball was thrown down low.
Well, it was a post pattern, a quick post pattern, so it would be thrown a little bit low, Gary.
2nd down and 10 for Georgia Tech. Clemson only rushing 3, so Strom has more time and completes his pass up across the 30 to about the 32-yard line. Pass to Alonzo Thomas coming out of the backfield. We're down to a minute and the clock running in the first half. It will be 3rd down and 2, close to 3 for Georgia Tech, and they waste no time. Strom for Lester, underthrown. It will be 4th down, and I would think here Georgia Tech will have to kick it away.
They're going to boot it away. They're going to take a chance here in the waning minutes of the half. They'll regroup and come back second half.
They've got some offensive thinking to do at halftime, and there aren't that many options. They've done the things you'd expect them to do, the swing passes, the draws.
Well, about the only ththing they still haven't done, though, is a little bit more play action, and when you do it, go on a longer count. Go to 4 rather than 1. Force those guys to jump out off sides.
Donnell Wolford returned a punt for a touchdown. Sean McDivitt for the 6th time in the first half kicking it away. Wolford from his 26. And Andre Thomas brought him down, and a flag went down as well. That's a 41-yard punt, a 7-yard return if it stands up. We'll check the flag. 35 seconds left in the first half. A clip will set the Tigers back. And Danny Ford, I think in his mind,
17, right? Clipping on the orange, on the return, 15-yard penalty and a 1st down.
All right, let's take a look. Tyler Grimes, who's one of, there it is in the backside. Tyler Grimes got him, but Tyler's one of the better special teams people the Tigers have. He's just giving it his all.
I was about to say, Danny Ford in his mind, I think, already started walking into the locker room when he saw that clipping call.
You know what he's told Rodney here? He said, now, we're 10 up. Let's don't take any unnecessary chances. If we happen to break a long run now, call timeout.
1st down from the 17, just 35 seconds left. And the 1st down carry may be a long run for Wesley McFadden. And McFadden out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Ricardo Ingram drove him out.
All right, McFadden does what he is sent to do. He takes the pitch here late in the half. Nice blocking here as you see Johnson dives and tries to take his man out. Good running. McFadden, knowing that Clemson has no timeouts, what does he do? Goes out of bounds, stop the clock.
Stopped it with 28 seconds left. Be interesting to see now what Danny Ford decides with that much time. Does he want to work with it or walk in with a 10-0 lead?
10-0 lead, Gary.
I would have to agree. No, Williams will throw. Williams going up top. And almost a great grab by Gary Cooper. Boy, Cooper made a one-handed stab at it and almost pulled it in, with Sammy Lilly and Ricardo Ingram back covering for Georgia Tech.
Play action held him here. This is a good arm by Rodney Williams. Watch this now. Hand goes up. Boy, did Gary Cooper almost pull a high noon as Sammy Lilly was able to knock him down just before he pulled that little thing in.
I'd have bet the house you couldn't go the day without using high noon. 2nd down with 20 seconds left, 2nd and 10. High noon, of course, for Gary Cooper. And Williams' throw is complete to Keith Jennings. And Keith Jennings in Georgia Tech territory to the 40 with 13 seconds left now in the first half. Eric Thomas ran him down, a 22-yard completion.
Well, that's what makes Danny Ford such a great coach. His staff himself, they do the unpredictable. You expect them to run, they pass. You expect them maybe to pass sometime, they run.
Rodney Williams throws it out to Jennings, who did not get out of bounds, and they have no timeouts left. That will be it.
Really, Jennings couldn't get out of bounds because he had to reach back to catch the ball.
He should not have caught the ball.
Oh, you didn't think so?
Well, there's only 4 seconds left. If he lets the ball drop, then they have another play.
Well, that's tough to tell a kid, hey, ball's
That's true. That's true.
But your synopsis was true, too. But it's tough to think that quickly in that situation.
Nonetheless, Danny Ford walking off the field with his Clemson Tigers leading 10-0. They controlled the game with their defense, as they have in the first 3 games of the season. But Georgia Tech's defense really has kept them in the ball game.
This game is not over yet, and I think Bobby Ross, in his way of feeling this game out, he knows that there's a second half. They're only down by 10.
So it is 10-0. Clemson on top. Halftime activities upcoming. We hope you'll stay with us for that. Back after this from your local ACC stations. You know, when we think of Georgia Tech football and the Yellow Jackets trailing Clemson at halftime here 10-0, we think of an ACC contender, a team that's right up there with the other teams trying to challenge Clemson for the league title. But it wasn't that way when the Yellow Jackets first came into the league some years back. They were way behind.
Well, they certainly were, Gary, and really you've got to have the coaches, you got to have the talent, there's no doubt about it, but before you can go out and have those kind of things to be successful, you also got to have people that are willing to raise money, donate money to the program, and that's apparently what Bobby Ross is trying to build in his first year at Georgia Tech. They have a club that's willing to give him some funds, so unless you have the paycheck, you're not going to have a program.
Got to give some credit to Bill Curry as well. Back in 1984, Georgia Tech was taking on a Clemson team that was dominating the ACC, but the Yellow Jackets had a big day. Let's take a look. Delta, the airline of ACC country, is proud to bring you another ACC football one for the books. Delta, we love to fly and it shows. Clemson came to Atlanta in 1984, smarting from a last-minute loss to Georgia the week before. Georgia Tech had won 2 straight and stung Clemson early as Cleve Pounds recovered a Stacy Driver fumble. Bidding to snap a 20-game Clemson ACC winning streak, Tech took a 6-0 lead in the first quarter on 2 David Bell field goals. Then quarterback John Dewberry went to work, tossing a 39-yard pass to tight end Gary Wilkins at the Clemson 3. It took a couple of plays, but Tech fullback Keith Blanton took it in from a yard out. With a successful 2-point conversion tacked on, Tech had a 14-0 lead. Then Cleve Pounds made his second big play of the half. The Rover back picked off a Mike Epley aerial and put the Tech offense back in business near midfield. Dewberry then rubbed salt in the Clemson wound. He hit Wilkins for a 2-yard touchdown, and Tech led Danny Ford's Tigers 21-0 at the half. Clemson was far from beaten. Epley hit Ray Butler for a score, and then Steve Griffin went 20 yards in the opening minutes of the fourth quarter to pull the Tigers within 7. With 10 minutes left, Epley hit Terrence Rulak, and it was a brand new ball game. Tech moved the ball to midfield, and then punter Mike Snow pinned Clemson back on its 3-yard line with 7 minutes left. A 44-yard punt that was likely the big play of the game. It was up to the Yellow Jacket defense then, and Clemson could only move the ball to its 11. Tech would have the ball back with a chance to win it. The Yellow Jackets went on a 54-yard time-consuming drive, one that included a marvelous Robert Levette 13-yard run to the Tiger 1-yard line. The domination of 12th-ranked Clemson over the ACC was about to end. 2 plays later, fullback Chuck Easley scored with just 33 seconds left on the clock. Georgia Tech won 28-21, a landmark victory in Tech's climb to football respectability. This has been another ACC one for the books, brought to you by Delta Airlines. We love to fly, and it shows. Halftime at Frank Howard Field in Clemson on top of Georgia Tech by the score of 10-0. Let's look at some of the other scores around the country, and an upset in the making as Purdue leads Notre Dame 14-10 in the second period.
Pittsburgh and West Virginia all knotted up in the second quarter, 3-all.
In the Southeastern Conference, Auburn, a field goal up on Tennessee. Auburn gets the Tar Heels next week.
Texas Tech's losing to Baylor 7-0. That one early in the first quarter.
And a game of tremendous interest in the ACC area. The Gamecocks up a field goal on the Bulldogs.
This should be a good ball game, but Virginia Tech is taken away from Syracuse 14-0 in the second quarter.
And that is the Jefferson Pilot scoreboard, brought to you by the Jefferson Pilot Companies. 10-0 Clemson here over Georgia Tech. Back after this for your local ACC stations.